Who is going to be the first to take that trip to Goon City? Now available on ProWrestlingTees.com, the newest design for Off The Script, taking that trip to Goon City. ProWrestlingTees.com/OffTheScript, $19.99. Get yours today on top of version 1 and version 2 of Get Off My TV. Goon City is the newest addition for the Off The Script podcast, hosted by yours truly, JD from NY. Let's all take that bus trip to Goon City collectively, man. Let's populate Goon City and show why this is the #1 fucking podcast on YouTube.com, man. That's ProWrestlingTees.com/OffTheScript. What is going on, guys? JD from New York here, and I am back with a very, very late edition of Off The Script. I apologize for you guys not having this in your sub boxes this morning, but obviously, if you've been paying attention to the channel, that I was in Atlantic City. I had a nice drunken weekend with my best friend, and it was just fucking awesome. I needed to get away from the city. I drove back this afternoon, and I got home, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should record Off The Script before I lay down, because I know I'm going to go to sleep. But I laid down and went to sleep anyway, and I passed out. So now it's 8 o'clock, and I'm recording Off The Script for you guys, because I promised you that you would have something before the end of the night, and I am here. So I got a bunch of news articles for you guys. We're going to go right through it. We're going to talk about it because there is a lot of important details I want to go over with you as far as a brand split goes. We got Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose rumored to be feuding now. There's more news on the Bullet Club, but, you know, you guys all heard that. And it's very interesting as we head into Monday Night Raw what the next step for AJ Styles and Roman Reigns is going to be. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how WWE books this and what we get at WWE Payback. Do we see the Bullet Club or Balor Club, whatever you want to call them, Bulletproof? Do we see them debut there? And do they give us a swerve and have the Bullet Club join forces with Roman Reigns? This is what Solomonster reported today. This is what he is predicting today. I didn't even think of that, but to me that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We'll talk about that. I might have to make another separate video in regards to the Bullet Club, but I want to get on with this episode, okay? We got news about a roster split or a brand split with Shane McMahon running Raw and the Authority, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon running SmackDown. So let's talk about that because that's the biggest news story that I seen in my news and notes throughout the weekend, and the top story I figured we would start this edition of Off The Script off with for part 3. According to Ringside News, there is a shot that we see a brand split come back soon, they don't know when, where Shane McMahon would run WWE Raw and the Authority does the same with WWE SmackDown. If you've seen this past week, the Authority did not appear on Raw, and who knows if they will be on Raw this upcoming week, tomorrow. The idea is only in the preliminary stages, so do not expect to see this happen next week and going forward, okay? Many do wonder about how this would go down storyline-wise, as Shane just lost his right to run Raw by losing to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It kind of makes the match with Taker worthless in the end, as Vince would give Shane the keys to run Raw anyway. Shane McMahon, the more and more we think about it, being paired with The Undertaker at WrestleMania inside Hell in a Cell, with the stipulations that we were given. If he wins, he controls Raw. If The Undertaker loses, he will never have another WrestleMania match ever again. The more and more we see it, the days following WrestleMania, the more and more we are convinced that WWE was really scared about injuries and how they would book WrestleMania, and that they took Shane McMahon, who realistically, even with everybody on the roster that is healthy, Realistically, Shane McMahon is the name that brings the most recognition and the most power to sell a match at WrestleMania with The Undertaker. So they used his name brand and the McMahon name to sell WrestleMania 32 because they literally had no other options. But at the end of the day, yes, we've seen The Undertaker win. McMahon ran Raw anyway, Shane McMahon that is, for one night. I don't know where they're going after this. It was a one-night deal. But having him run Monday Night Raw regardless after making such a big deal about that stipulation makes us look like idiots. And it makes WWE look like idiots. And it makes everything that happened at WrestleMania worthless. It makes no sense whatsoever. So I know a lot of people nowadays in the aftermath of WrestleMania are complaining about that. Two shows being run by two different teams of people would be quite difficult to do with one roster at the end of the day as well. I still do not think the WWE is back to full strength to the point where we need to talk about brand split or brand extension. Nobody's mentioning, and I haven't heard one person mention any of this. My main thing with a brand split is you can't think about this with Monday Night Raw being 3 hours. That is the most important factor in a brand split. Monday Night Raw needs to be back to 2 hours. Plain and simple. At that point, then you can go on and begin planning for a brand extension. And that's not going to happen for a few more years. The only way this happens, if you have two teams running both shows, is if we have a brand split as having one team of people run one show with the other running another. Okay? It would be quite weird. It would mean that both would be chaotic if you tried to use the same roster to work both shows with two different directions. You could easily have certain championships change hands and various teams split up, all because one show wants to stick it to the other. Therefore, a split has to occur in order to solve questions going into who runs each show. It was rumored that we would get the brand split at some point next summer, and it looks like it's still on track. This is according to rumors. And please, I am not a fucking soothsayer. I don't work for the Observer. Everything I am telling you is merely a rumor, and we are discussing it as far as speculation goes. Nothing I say is 100% definite. If it comes true, fantastic. You can always, turn to me as a guy who's going to give you credible news. But this, take it with a grain of salt. WWE is in the very, very early stages of possibly talking about a brand split. This very well could be the next time we see Shane McMahon because he is not expected for the next few weeks at least. On top of this, WWE loves to do big summer angles. This does appear to be the angle of the year. I don't know about that. If WWE goes with this Bullet Club, Balor Club, Shield idea, which I think would be phenomenal, some of you actually did not agree with what I was trying to get across to you, and that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. We will always go back and talk about that, but right now we're talking about the brand split. The possible heel run of Roman Reigns could play into this as well, possible, but that is up in the air depending on storyline direction, obviously, with what I just mentioned. Business-wise, the split makes sense for Triple H and Stephanie McMahon more than any other. Shane would, of course, run Raw, but Vince and his staff would really be doing the story writing and direction. So how much of a brand split is it regardless? You know what I mean? If Vince is still going to be running both shows with his staff, meaning Kevin Dunn and all these other fucking clowns that he's got, these guys that fucking yank his cock at every fucking whim, what sense is a brand split? You should have two creative teams. Split the fucking creative teams. Head one, seriously, give Triple H creative power, being that he's doing a fantastic job with NXT. Give him the reins to creatively write for Smackdown, being that it is the legit B show. And then if Vince and Shane want to come together collectively to run Monday Night Raw, I think that would be the best idea. You weed out the fucking, all the other bullshit and all the other, the middlemen. Give it to Triple H and Stephanie with a few head writers, Michael P.S. Hayes, Road Dogg, etc. And then you give Vince and Shane and a few others Monday Night Raw. What's the need for all these creative writers? There is none. He would simply be the face of what we see. Meanwhile, Triple H and Stephanie have over a decade of experience working in creative, and Triple H has proven what he knows with NXT, like I just said. That being said, it does appear that the move to SmackDown for them would sort of be a trial run for running the company. For what has been rumored, the two of them would run SmackDown in front of and behind the scenes with its own titles and stars. SmackDown would be a show to itself and one that WWE still considers secondary. That said, Vince could give them the reins to run it their way. The two of them want to prove that they can run the business when Vince eventually steps away. The only way to do that is to have an opportunity to actually run a show of their own. The split gives them a lot more than it takes away, for sure. Yes, it gives SmackDown more, but what does it do to Monday Night Raw? The 3 hours is still looming. That 3-hour aspect of Monday Night Raw is going to kill the brand, kill the show with a brand split. You do not want it. It's not needed right now. And when that contract with NBC Universal is over, which is really forcing WWE's hand for 3 hours, wait till it's over, have it go back to 2, and then we can start talking about a brand split. That is my honest opinion. Yes, I understand you guys are excited. Yes, I understand the aspect of what this article is saying. Yes, there is very valid points in this article. I am not disagreeing with anything there. But the main thing is the 3-hour Raw, and I want you guys to see it from my point of view. It would be critical to Monday Night Raw to wait for the 2 hours and then do a brand split. You're not gonna split the rosters even with everybody healthy and make a solid show. It's not going to happen. 2 hours is key for success. Less is more. Quality over quantity. You guys get my point. That is the update on the brand split plans. Shane McMahon, the Authority, possibly running 2 different shows with Shane and Raw, Authority at SmackDown. We will have to wait and see, but that is where WWE's mindset is right now. Backstage news on creative plans for the Women's Championship before WrestleMania. This week, Charlotte became the WWE Women's Champion and simultaneously retired the Divas Championship and has been established as the face of the division all in one evening. Charlotte wasn't the most popular choice to win the triple threat match at WrestleMania. In fact, she was probably third choice behind Becky and Sasha Banks, who was the favorite. According to DWN, DailyWrestlingNews.com, there was a lot of back and forth about who the right woman was to win at WrestleMania. But the decision was made to go with Charlotte a few days before the weekend. The original plan would have been to establish a winner last night, or this week, I should say, at Mania, and rebrand the division for Monday Night Raw. But the decision was made to do it at WrestleMania to bring greater prestige to the women's division, the new women's title, and Charlotte, its champion. There's a lot of debate about WWE's decision to have Charlotte win over Banks and Lynch. The argument is that a win for Becky or Sasha would have been career-defining. Charlotte has been leading the division very well ever since she took the Divas title from Nikki Bella. She's been doing a phenomenal job thus far, and she's just beginning to hit her stride as a heel. So WWE's logic was, why fix what isn't broken? It will only make the moment she loses all more impactful and meaningful. Very, very true. I am okay with Charlotte winning and us holding out hope and our breaths for Sasha to take the title at SummerSlam, okay? What this does is it gives Charlotte a one-off feud with Natalya, who is much deserving of a title shot, even though she hasn't done much. I think Natalya has done enough to prove that she is for the division, that putting them together, it doesn't need to make sense because we are going to get great matches out of it, okay? Sasha is going to go in a one-off with Summer Rae, it looks like, and where that leaves Becky, I don't know. Becky looks like she's going to be the odd woman out. And she, more than likely, Becky is probably the strongest one out of all 3 for the last couple of months. So, a lot of people are wondering, is Becky going to be overshadowed by Sasha and Charlotte at every twist and turn? Becky is too good to not have at least a run with the Divas. I keep saying Divas, with the Women's Championship, okay? I got to get through my head, man. We've been poisoned with the word Diva for so many years. Becky is too good to not have a run with the Women's Championship. It is going to happen. WWE cannot be that oblivious to know what they have in the women's division, man. And for the first time in a long time, I am excited about the direction of the women's division. New belt, you got all 3 beasts in Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. Emma, it looks like she's on the main roster. Summer Rae is not that bad. Natty, You know, Paige, I don't know what the hell happened to Paige. If she gets out of this total divas mindset, we could have another solid woman in the division. The Bellas are moving on. Brie retired. Nikki probably won't be back full-time ever again. They're going to go on to do reality television. Ever since the Bellas left and ever since Nikki had to go get her surgery, the women's division is unbelievable, man. I have a very, very strong feeling that the women's division is going to be some of the best stuff we see throughout 2016. Speaking of the women, Alicia Fox has some backstage heat after a backstage incident. Many within WWE Universe consider Alicia Fox to be an underrated veteran. She is also very good. I forgot to mention her. She is very decent in the ring, man. She's an underrated veteran of the women's division, but she hasn't been able to receive the attention, focus, and get a significant push as a top performer in the division. There was a recent rumor that Alicia Fox would be getting a push very soon. According to that rumor, officials within the company were said to be very high on Fox because of her work ethic, her mentor-like role behind the curtain with many female performers, and she's genuinely well-liked by all of her peers. Unfortunately, an incident may have taken all of that hard work away. It's now being said that Alicia Fox has some backstage heat with some of the women in the locker room. According to WrestlingInc.com, the heat on Fox came from an outburst she had with another female talent at a recent live event. It's being said that Fox has taken the blame for the incident, and the issues aren't with WWE management, but with her fellow performers. It's unclear if this could become a storyline on Total Divas. Nobody knows, which that would probably be my first guess. With the drawing of the women's division and the dawning of the women's division and the retirement of the Divas Championship, we've entered into a new era of women's wrestling, and it seems that a lot of things are going to change. Alicia is very good in the ring. Aside from the incident, she should be soon and maybe will receive that rumored push that she deserves. I would not look too much into this. They didn't name another diva because, like I said, if I was to take a logical guess here, this bullshit, whoever reporting this, WrestlingInc.com, more than likely this is going to be a segment for Total Divas. I would not be surprised whatsoever. So, they didn't name anybody. They didn't name another diva. They didn't name a time and a place. They didn't name a weekend. They didn't name when it happened, who it was, etc., etc. So, if I was to take a guess, like I said, this is all part of a storyline for reality television and total trash. Speaking of total garbage, Maryse is back with the WWE, mostly for total trash. Maryse's return directly changed the course of the Intercontinental Championship picture, as her appearance cost Zack Ryder the title and gave her husband, The Miz, his 5th IC title reign of his career. It's unclear if Maryse is back to wrestle in any capacity, but she is definitely back as The Miz's valet, and she's going to be joining the cast of Total Trash for next season. According to a report from WrestleZone.com, there will be a major change made to Total Trash next season, since the show's ratings are dropping rapidly. Get it off the fucking network, get it off TV, period, next season. Mandy Rose, Alicia Fox, and Rosa Mendez are being cut from the show's official cast. Oh, I'm fucking heartbroken. The plan is to replace them with Renee Young, Naomi for her second run on the show as a main cast member, and Maryse. It's being said that Total Trash is Maryse's top priority, and she returned as an on-air character alongside The Miz because of her role in Total Garbage. It's more than likely that Miz will also be a part of the show by association with Maryse, but we'll have to see if Maryse returns to the ring in any capacity, or if she'll be a valet strictly and a member of Total Divas. So, there you go. Maryse is back on television to valet for The Miz, which makes The Miz a little bit more credible. And The Miz, he could develop into a decent champion. But the most important thing here is that The Miz is a beatable champion. So, whoever is going to step up to the plate as a face, he is a beatable champion. He is a cowardly champion. He's got that heel mannerism and that just heel persona down. With Maryse in his corner, it could be better. It could develop into something a little bit more what it is. And having her there as his valet gives him more credibility. So I'm all for her being in his corner. I'm a little undecided with the decision that they made to take it off Zack Ryder, meaning that it got such a decent reaction. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Payback. I'm assuming Zack Ryder's going to get another shot at the belt. Maybe he wins it back. Another thing I don't like the hot potato swap with the IC title from Zack Ryder WrestleMania and then giving it right back to The Miz on Monday Night Raw. It doesn't do anybody good. It doesn't do The Miz, Ryder, or the IC title any good. So, Maryse is back with The Miz, but she's back mostly for Total Divas. It's going to look good on The Miz, but if you guys watch Total Divas or care for Total Divas, there you go. I know most of us here do not care. And finally, guys, to end this week's part 3 of Off the Script, not a lot of news this weekend, but I did what I could for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, hit that thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below, and obviously I'll be back for Monday Night Raw review to follow up on what happens with Roman Reigns and AJ Styles. WWE was planning Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose for WrestleMania. That was actually one of my predicted matches, and it looks like all the original planning for WrestleMania 32 would have made WrestleMania 32 a better show than what we were given. Wow, how shocking is that? In the months leading up to WrestleMania 32, there were a lot of rumors that WWE Creative was planning Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship. Maybe they should have went with that. I would have been intrigued by that. That was well known here, since there was also reports about Chris Jericho turning heel before WrestleMania 32. The latter turned out to be true, and we may still see Ambrose versus Jericho for Payback and maybe beyond going into the summer. However, Ambrose faced Brock Lesnar in a no-holds-barred street fight match on the grandest stage of them all. Y2J faced AJ Styles for the 4th time at WrestleMania and got a surprising win that people were not happy about the next night. It is now coming to light that WWE had specific plans for Ambrose versus Jericho at WrestleMania, but they nixed those plans for a number of reasons. The first reason being momentum Ambrose received after the Royal Rumble, and his feud with the Beast seemed like a more natural feud at the time, despite fans' dissatisfaction with the match at Mania. Another factor is AJ Styles coming into the company, and WWE wanted the feud to start off with Jericho that developed such an interesting rivalry that WWE couldn't resist having that match on the grandest stage of them all. But it would have been great if it was a first-time match, not a 4th fucking time. I mean, seriously, WWE, how stupid can you be? You know, a feud between the Lunatic Fringe and Y2J is always going to be interesting, and now they'll have a nice face versus heel dynamic that will create a good feud for pay-per-views, or maybe multiple, depending on the fans. So there you go. Like I said, it looks like the original plans for WrestleMania are better than the ones we were given for the actual show only a week ago. That is Off the Script, guys. Thank you so much for listening this week and bearing with me through the weekend. I'll be back to normal activities as I stated on Monday going into Friday for Monday Night Raw and Off the Script next weekend for episode 113. If you did enjoy, please hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you guys are thinking, and I'll be back as always with the best #1 fucking place for WWE news and rumors right here on YouTube.com, and that is Off the Script. Like I said, hit that thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206, and make sure you guys check out the iTunes podcast. All the links for iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, and AudioBoom are linked down below, man. 2.5 hours of quality listen talking about everything WrestleMania 32 weekend. I'm JD. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys for Monday Night Raw review.